QA. QA means quality assurance. And the first question I will ask is, what is quality assurance? What is quality assurance? Quality assurance is trying to make sure that a product meets the user's need. Quality assurance is trying to make sure that a product is useful to the user. An ATM, that is a machine where you get money from, that does not function cannot meet the need of the user. A cup that you need to use to drink that has a hole under it, it is not useful to the user, because if you put water in it, the water will flow out. A cloth that is torn. If you go to Walmart, for example, you buy a cloth and you see the cloth is torn, definitely you just drop it. You don't want to buy it. You don't want to pay money for it. Why? Because it does not meet your need. Your need is to put on a nice cloth. If you go to the meat section, you want to buy meat, and you see a meat that is rotten, you will drop it because you don't want that. So, what does quality assurance have to do with this? And who does quality assurance? I remember there was a time, I always tell this story, that when I was living in Europe, I used to do some part-time business. I go to China, I bring in some containers into Europe of some, electronics goods and all those kind of stuff. When I get to China, in the factory where they produce these goods, the factory workers, once they produce, for example, let's take an example of microwave. They are producing microwave. Once they produce every fifth microwave, they take the fifth microwave to the side. They push it to the side. They don't pack it. They don't pack it. Why are they pushing it to the side? They are pushing it to the side for those quality assurance people to test it, to make sure that that microwave is functioning. They are not testing every microwave because they produce hundreds of thousands of microwaves every day. And it is not possible for them to test every microwave. So, they test every fifth microwave. How do they test it? They plug it to the wall, they try to put some food in it, they warm it, they turn on the timer, they do several kinds of things on the microwave to make sure that it is functioning. Once it is functioning, they put it in package and they shift it forward. So, why are they trying to do this? Why? You can look at them. I understood the reason why they are trying to do this, but not everybody will understand the reason. For example, if this company produces without controlling what they are doing, and every day they produce 100,000 pieces of microwave and they ship it out to customers, and customers test these products and the products are not good, what will happen? Customers will return the products to the factory, and the factory will have to pay for returning the products back to them, isn't it? So, now tell me, who has lost? The factory. The manufacturers have lost the money they are supposed to collect from the customers. They have lost the money they spent on the workers. They have lost the money they spend on shipment, in and out, because they have to pay for the shipment if the products are not good. So that is why companies do quality assurance. Companies do quality assurance so that the product that they send out will meet the end user's need. What is the need of a microwave? A microwave is to warm food. So if you buy a microwave from Walmart, for example, you put food in it and you warm it and it doesn't warm, then definitely you just put it back in the pack, take it back to Walmart and get back your money. And what will happen now? Walmart will have lost money that you gave to them, you take the money back, and Walmart will have lost money because they pay the cashier to pay you, to take the money from you. They are also going to pay the customer service people to take the good back from you. And upon nothing, they have not gained anything. So this is why companies believe it is better for them to spend $1 and save themselves $100 than not to spend the $1 and still lose $100 or more than $100. So, from what I've said now, which company does quality assurance? Which company? I'll say anybody that produces any product does quality assurance. Anybody that produces a product, as long as you produce a product, you must do quality assurance. Because if your product does not meet the user's need, please note that thing that I've been saying. User's need. What is the user's need? I go to Walmart. I always use the example of a Walmart because everybody knows Walmart. If I go to Walmart, I need a pen to write, and I buy a pen from Walmart. I write with the pen, and the pen is not writing. Then I will take the pen back. That means that pen did not meet my need. And when a product does not meet your need, you will not pay for it. And when you don't pay for a product, companies don't get money. And that means company has spent money in producing the product. At the same time, they have not gotten any money back into the company. So, from my explanation now, we realize that every company does quality assurance. Be it any kind of product that they can produce. Shoes, bags, food, every product. They must do quality assurance so that they are sure that their product is of good quality, that their product can meet the user's need, and their product is reliable. If you buy a product and it is reliable, you always go back to buy that kind of a product again. Oh, I can say, I bought one water boiler, the water boilers make is so. So if I want to buy a microwave, for example, I'm going to buy a microwave that has the same name. Because the other one that you bought met your need, and it will always, give the company more money, because customers will always come back, what we call repeat business, because they have bought something from you before that they now like. So I always say one thing too, that even people who sell gari, rice, beans, and everything, they do some kind of quality assurance. You want to make sure that your gari doesn't look dirty. If your gari looks dirty, who wants to buy it? Too much bugs and insects in your gari, who wants to buy it? There was one African store that I went to here in Houston. I wanted to buy gari. I took the gari, so many bugs and insects in the gari, I just dropped it. Nobody wants to buy your product if your product is not good. That is why companies try to make sure that their product is good and buyers will buy it. And you can only achieve this through quality assurance. Okay, so I've talked so much about quality assurance, but now what do? We don't test gari, we don't test all those things. What we test is software. So, what is software quality assurance? Our profession is software quality assurance. It is not bicycle quality assurance. It is not gari quality assurance. It has to do with software. But the procedure, the concept is still the same. The concept is still the same. In software, we are trying to make sure that the product or the software is well tested and that product meets the need of the users. Okay, let's look at it. Every company in this present world uses a computer. And once you use a computer, you must need some software to run in your computer. So, assuming that now you are in the mortgage business. You are in the mortgage business. Let's just take that small example. You are in the mortgage business and you register a loan for customers and you make money through registration of loans. And your application that you are using to register a loan does not function well. It does not function properly. That means you will not be able to register loans for customers. That means you will not be able to make money. That means that person will be out of business if your application does not function properly. So, you must make sure that your application functions properly so that that application will do what it's supposed to do and it will bring money into your company. Okay, let's talk about the medium/big companies in America. America is the most developed country in the world, and we have the kind of companies that we call medium companies here in America. In some countries, they are the largest companies. And from the medium companies here in America to the big companies, everybody uses software. Everybody uses application. Everybody uses computer. And once they have this software must be tested to make sure that the software meets the need of the user. So, if you come to this course, you finish this course and you go into the career of a software tester, for example, your duty will be testing software. And why do we need to test software? I mean, I've mentioned some of the reasons why we need to test software, so that software will bring in money into the company. Most software, the function of most software is bringing money into the company, because that is the medium, or that is the media through which money comes into the company, through these applications. I'm going to show, open up some applications, and we're going to see what really is. We can start wondering, what is an application? What is a software? What is a software? So we are going to talk about that. Let's go to, okay. Somebody was asking me that what are the various job titles in the profession, and I said we're going to talk about it today. What are the various job titles of the profession? Let's go to the next page. Okay, you can see these are the various job titles of this profession. Normally, we're used to, a doctor is a doctor, a lawyer is a lawyer, accountant is an accountant. But if you come to this profession, there are several titles. And, it starts from test analyst, QA test engineer, systems QA engineer, solutions test specialist, QA specialist, QA analyst, 1, 2, 3. QA analyst 1, 2, 3 is used mostly in United Kingdom. Because I have some students from there, that's why I always write it like this. But in USA, most of the time it's QA analyst. So the next page, I still have some software engineer, test engineer, software test analyst, testers, and QA testers. These are all the titles. Let's count them. These are 4 here, and these are 8, 9, 10. So there are about 10 titles that, you can call yourself. There are 10 titles that you can call yourself. But then, it will not be possible to call yourself 10 titles. What the best thing to do is to pick one of these titles and stick to that title. If you decide to call yourself QA specialist, you continue to be a QA specialist. My own title is QA analyst, and whichever position that I'm working, I always call myself QA analyst. I don't change it. So, and what is the reason why I always like to tell my students this? The reason is that when you start looking for a job, if you are looking for accountant job, just put in accountant in the job application. How do I want to say? Like Monster or Career Builder. Just put in accountant, and then you'll find a lot of jobs in accountancy field. But in this profession, you have to search for job on all these titles. Hello, some people are speaking, and it's disturbing the class. Thank you. So you can put your phone on mute if you know you want to talk, so that it doesn't disturb us. So you have to search for any of this title and every of this title before you can be sure that you have searched for all the titles and all the jobs out there. And they all mean the same. If you decide to call yourself QA tester, you can also do this job of software test analyst. You can do the job of test engineer. You can do the job of for example, QA test engineer, test analyst. You can do anyone. They are all the same. They mean all the same. They mean all the same. There's no difference. Some tiny differences, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what those differences are. They are all used. You can just choose anyone, and then you can just start using it. Once you finish your course and you want to start looking for a job. So those are the job titles, the titles and the job designations. So then we have technical writer. You can also do the job of a technical writer. A technical writer is somebody that writes a manual. By the time you come to this class and pass through the class, you will understand how to write a manual, a technical manual. You will understand how to write it. You understand how to write a manual for a software. For a software, you understand how to write a manual for software. Then my next question will be, where can you work? Where can you work? The good thing about this profession is that you can work everywhere. A doctor can only work in the hospital. A nurse can work only in the hospital. I've never seen a nurse working in the bank. I've never seen a nurse working maybe in a manufacturing industry. But as QA, you can work everywhere. You can work in the hospital. You can work, because everywhere uses application. Everywhere uses software. So you can work, even with the government, you can work. Government uses software. Everybody uses software. And as long as there's a software, the software must be what? Must be tested. So that is why if you go into the job market, you just type in any of these, just type in testers, for example, you see hundreds of thousands of jobs. Because you can work everywhere. You can work in the bank. You can, name it, in the mortgage, anywhere, everywhere you can work. In the oil industry, every company you can work. So it makes the job to be out there. It makes the job to be there. It is not, like you can only work in some sections so that, it makes the job to be quickly saturated. No. And some people have asked me too, don't you think everybody is going into it? That it will come to a time that there will be no jobs? I say no. Because you are just knowing about it today doesn't mean that it is existing today. You are just knowing about it. But this has been existing for more than 30, 40, 50 years, as long as computer has been in existence. The only thing now is that people are just starting to know about it, that it come to you. That you are just knowing about it. Some people knew about it 2 years ago, they are already in it. Some people knew about it 4 years ago, they are already in it. And some people have not even heard about it. They are going to hear about it next month and they will say, but I'm just hearing about it. So that is just about that. It can never be saturated because it is a very, 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 very large market. And you can work everywhere. Even there are some countries that they give green card just because you are a software tester. That shows how scarce software testers still are. Even though, you would think there are too many, but they are not. There is scarcity. There is scarcity. So to work, you can work everywhere. Check up countries like UK. Check up countries like France. Check up countries like Republic of Ireland. Go to their website and check, and just click on green card, work permit, and see this kind of check the kind of professions that they give green card to, from people from anywhere in the world. If you are a nurse, if you are a doctor, if you are a software engineer, if you are a software tester, they give you a green card. So it shows that, these jobs are, there are not enough people in this profession, and they're looking for people. So, do we have any question at this point up to what I've discussed? Do we have any question at this point?
Do we have any questions?
Okay. So, I'm on the next page now, and this page says paths. I always like to tell my students, there is another life apart from QA, and there are some other things that you can do. Once you come into QA, you have finished QA, you have started working, there are some other directions that you can go. We have a school here in a training center here in Houston, where you can do a lot of all these courses. Maybe thereafter, once you are already in QA and you want to expand your knowledge, you want to extend your knowledge, and you want to move up quickly in your career. I've divided them into several parts, technical ones and very less technical ones. Like from QA, you can do business analysis, and then you can do SAP. With QA, the best one that goes with QA is the SAP FICO, Financials and Controlling. So you can also do that one. Then you can do project management. And then, once you have all this knowledge, then, you will be indispensable in the market. These are just ways to move up and quickly become a manager or quickly become a lead or whatever. So then we have another one, this is a little bit technical, but not too much technical. From QA, you can go to database, you can go to, these are just, I just designed this. I mean, it's not really for this class today, but it's always for my students to advise them once they finish QA on which level they can go. I mean, depending on their knowledge and their capability and their background and their interest. So there are some other ones. I mean, we have a lot of other courses. I'll show you maybe at the end of this presentation those courses that we have in the training center here in Houston. Okay. So, what will you learn in this class? In this course, what will you learn in this course? And what is the aim of this class? The aim of this class is to give you 3 to 5 years of experience. That is the aim of my class. The aim of my class is, I mean, I just say 3, for those people who don't really get it much, but the normal one is 5 years. So by the time you go through my class, your knowledge will be that of a 5-year person who has been in QA. Your knowledge will be like that of somebody that has been in QA for over 5 years. Just a minute, guys. Hello? 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 Who is speaking?
No, we can't hear.
Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Hello? Mo class, mo ka won mi o guru e la so je kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Bẹ̀mí títí 1 hour. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Tí mi ò guru ẹ. Okay, okay. So, as I was saying, I said my class will give you 5 years of experience. That means when you finish my class and you sit together with somebody that has 5 years of experience in QA, you and that person will be on the same level. So that is the aim of this class. And we do a lot of assignments, a lot of assignments. Practical things, practical skills, practice and practice and practice. Until, we get everything that I'm really teaching in the class. And, once you are able to follow this, definitely you will achieve that 5 years, in skill. So that when you go out there, you are not going out there as entry level. If you look into the job market, you will find that the job market says, we're looking for somebody with 3 years experience. We're looking for somebody with 5 years experience. But when you finish this class, you will see that, my students call me and say, oh, man, I see some job descriptions. Everything that is in the job description, I understand everything. Because we do everything in the class, and we have the practical knowledge of those things. Not just learning, cramming. No. We learn and understand. We learn and understand. And this is one general question that students always ask me. Are you going to provide materials? My answer to that question is always this. In my class, I will say there is no material. Hello? Hello? Some people are speaking and, it's disturbing what I'm saying. I don't think they can really understand what I'm saying if they're speaking. Just put your phone on mute, if you want to speak, so that it doesn't disturb, the flow of the class. So, I always say, in my class, there's no material. If you're coming to class, get yourself a big note, like they call it in Nigeria, or maybe a college block, like they call it here. Get yourself a pen. Write down everything that I say. Write down every example that I give. This will always make you to understand what we are talking about. And if there's anything that you don't understand, call me. I will re-explain and re-explain and re-explain until you understand it. Sometimes we might need to redo some lectures if I find out that you don't understand it. And there are always exercises and, practice, so that through these exercises I will really understand, these people understand what we are doing, and then we can quickly move ahead. So, that does not mean that I don't give materials. But what I do is that I give the materials towards the end of the class when you can read it and understand it, not at the beginning that you get confused. And believe you me, if you don't, even if I send out materials and you don't even read these materials, you are good to go. Once you are able to write down most everything that we do in the class, you write it down and you understand it. It's like, IT is like you want to drive a car. Can you drive a car theoretically? With mouth? No. When you drive a car with mouth, it is different when you now go on the seat and then handle a car. What we do in this class, we go on the seat and handle a car. And once you go on the seat and handle a car, nobody can, you don't need to study to answer any question on how you drove the car. The only thing you need to do is just to continue explaining. Oh, when I did this, then I did this. When I did this, then I did this. Because we have done practical things on driving a car. And exactly something like that is what we do in this class. We make sure that we learn everything that we do practically. So when I explain something, I show you the practical. When I explain something, I show you the practical. And then I give assignments on how to practice it. And there is no way through this methodology that, people will not understand. But if it happens that you don't understand, I am always there. I explain and explain until you understand. So, then, what are the prospects of this career, both in USA and worldwide? I think I've talked about this when I was talking about, where can you work? The prospects of this job are everywhere. If you call London today, you want to work 1 year in London. I have guys that they just go all over the world working. 1 year they're in Dubai, another year they're in Japan, another year they're in Canada, another year they're in Argentina, another year they're back to UK. You can work everywhere. Even you will be surprised that the language of software testing, I lived in Germany for a long time. And in Germany they speak German. They still speak German. So, but you'll be surprised that the language of software testing in Germany is English. People do software testing in Germany in English. They do software testing in Switzerland in English. Switzerland, they speak German and French. But the language of computer in the world is English. So you can work anywhere you want to work. Somebody would then ask, but I don't have residence to work in UK. There is something they call job residence, just like working permit. If you want to work in UK, you apply to those companies, you do interview, they apply for 1 year visa for you. You can work in UK for 1 year with that company. And then after 1 year, if you want to leave, you can leave. So, I'm just saying this to tell us that even I have some people I know of one person in Houston here that has gone to Nigeria to work for 1 year with Chevron as a QA analyst. That person lives here in Houston, but she went to Nigeria for 1 year to work with Chevron and then came back to US. So you have the flexibility. Can you imagine, companies in Nigeria now? Some people say, but do we have QA in Nigeria? But the companies in Nigeria use software. I'm talking of the big companies now. I'm talking of the bank, the financial institutions, the big manufacturing industries like Cadbury and all those kind of Coca-Cola. They use all these things and they have all these things in their company. So, and they pay their professionals very, 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 very well. Very well. So, then, what are the prerequisites of this course? What are the prerequisites? I would say you are going to learn almost everything. I would say, I don't think there's anybody in this age that has never operated a computer before or has never seen a computer. As long as you know how to put on a computer, you know how to go into Yahoo, you know how to write mail and send mail, you are good to go for this class. That is the only knowledge that we need for this class. And then, you need a computer. If you don't have a computer, then you can't come to class. That your computer will be your means of coming to class. So you need a computer, then you need a phone to call in. Those are the two things that you need. Other things will be from my own blackboard. I will teach, I will write on the blackboard, and then, that's how it goes. Then what is the difference between my class and other QA classes? I always say this because I don't want people to waste their money. I have a lot of people in my present, I have several classes running. I have some people in my class now that they have gone somewhere before to learn this thing, and they came back to my class to learn it. And, they went somewhere, they didn't understand it until they came to my class. And the difference between my class and other classes is that I am in this business so that you can succeed. I am not in this business so that I can just make money. I'm in this business so that you can succeed, so that you can get a good job in this profession, so that, it doesn't even end. Even after the class, you can still call me, oh, Festus, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. How should I do this? How should I do that? I'm always there. It doesn't mean that once class ends, you cannot call me. You can always call me. There is no problem about that. And then, the real difference between my class and other classes is that my class will give you that experience that you need to get into the job market. It will give you the experience, as I've said, of a 5-year person that has been in QA or software testing. So, let's go to the next page. Okay. So then now, I've talked so much about QA. Yeah, we have to test application. We have to test application. We have to test why? I'm sure that still it might not be clear to some people, but why do we need to test the application? Although I've mentioned that, we need to test the application so that the application can meet the user's need. But I want to just give some little explanations on if you don't test the application, what can happen? What can happen if you don't test the application? What can happen if you don't test the application well? What can happen? I'm sure we have all, an application that is not well tested can cause death. Somebody can say, but why? Are we using application to drive? Are we using application to drive a car? No. But I'm saying that an application that is not well tested can cause death. How can this cause death? I'll give 2 examples. And then I'm sure that you'll be able to relate to some other examples of your own. My first example will be this. We have all been to the hospital or to the clinic, whether in anywhere before. And, we have a lot of these machines that they use in the hospital. These machines are all electronic machines, isn't it? We have all seen it. And they run on software. There are some software in these machines that run. And I want to give an example here. For example, somebody goes to the clinic or goes to the hospital and that person is sick. And that person says, yeah, I always have pain in my head. That I always have pain on the right side of my head. And the doctor says, okay, go for x-ray. Go and do some x-ray. I've looked, I couldn't see anything. But go and do some x-ray and we'll check your head and see what is wrong with the head. And that person goes into the x-ray room and goes into this x-ray machine. Those x-ray machines are very large and they are being run with software. And this person goes into the software and goes into the machine, and the machine takes the x-ray, takes all the reading, and brings out a result.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, okay.
I'm still here. I didn't know. Yes, we were trying to ask some questions.
Yeah, we were trying. I was trying to contribute, but I couldn't. You were just talking. I couldn't hear you.
But I can hear you. That's what I always say, that if you want to ask any question, just whether I'm talking or not, just ask your question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because sometimes I always ask, is there any question? Everybody says there's no question, so I continue talking. But if you want to ask a question, just say, "Hi, Festus," and then I will stop, and then you ask your question.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
No problem. No, I was just trying to contribute to what you're saying, that why do we need to test applications?
Okay, you can make your contribution. That's welcome.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of reason why we need to test this application, because the company can be at risk. It's better to find defects why the application is being built rather than why the application is in production, because it's going to cost the company a lot of money if the application goes wrong or if anything happens.
That is perfectly correct. That is perfectly correct, and that is one of the major reasons why we have to test software. I've also mentioned it that every company is there to make money. There is no company that, even Caritas, Red Cross, they are all charity organizations, but they still make money, isn't it? If they don't make money, they can't run.
Yeah.
Every company needs money to run. So, and money must come in. And if the channel of money coming in is closed, that means money doesn't come in. For example, Walmart has a website where you can go to and buy your product. And I'm sure that Walmart's website brings in everyday millions into Walmart's account. Millions. And assuming that Walmart's website goes down for 2 days. That means Walmart will lose for that 2 days. If it brings in, let's say, 10 million for them in 1 day, that means for those 2 days, Walmart will lose $20 million. We are talking about big money here. And so, it pays Walmart to give you that peanut that satisfy us. $45 per hour, $50 per hour, $40 per hour. Oh, we are all jumping up. That's great. But it pays Walmart to pay us that money than to lose 20 million.
Yes.
And that is why software testers are always in demand. And you are there 24 hours monitoring the application. I'm not saying you could be working 24 hours, but you always have a job. It is not that.
There's a lawsuit against, what's it called now? United Insurance Company.
Yes.
For a claim, for the application. I think it's something that has to do with claim.
Yes. So, if your application is not functioning well, there will be lawsuit against you, and it can make your company to fold up. And if any application is not functioning well, it comes back to you as a software tester. If there is no law and order in a country or in a city, it comes back to the police of the city, isn't it? So, and the police of software testing of companies, when it comes to application, is the software tester or the QA analyst. You are the police. You are the person that will say the application is functioning well, and everybody will say, oh, it is functioning well. You are the person that will say it is not functioning well, and they will believe that it is not functioning well. So, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you said in your earlier statement that that you're not going to give us a reading material.
Yes, sir.
With the quality assurance, what I'm made to understand that you need a constant practice. Would there be anything like a software application where someone can constantly practice? And two, would you give anything like a technical support, maybe for one of your students who, at the end of the day, that is going on maybe on a job where he can always get back for something like a feedback?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I think I've answered a little bit of that question, but I will go over it again. What I said, if you understand me very well, what I said is that it is not that I don't give materials, but materials are not important. Materials are not important. You don't need a material to learn how to drive a car. You need to really go on the seat and drive the car. Materials is only theory, and my class is not about theory, it's about practical. For example, you want to prove that you have 5 years experience. Will it be in theory or in practical? In practical. So my class is all about practical. It is not about theory. I don't have time to give you a document of 20 pages on a definition that I can give you 1 sentence, 2 sentences, and show you the practical of it. And you have the perfect understanding of it. Some people here in Houston, they went to the university here to learn quality assurance. It cost them $2,600, and they came back to my class at the end of the day. because they had a lot of materials. A lot of materials. Believe you me, these materials will not help you. I mean, I said it before. I have also these materials. But I'm going to give you these materials at the end of the course, so that when you are reading it, it makes a lot of sense to you. That is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not going to give you material, but you know, it is easy to just look, this is what I had, and this is what works. But when you come to my class, you have another opinion. I've been a teacher from Nigeria. Even when I finished my secondary school in those days, I was a teacher in secondary school. You know, in those days, if you have good grades in secondary school, you can teach in secondary school. Before I went to the university, I was a teacher. I went to the university. I didn't do education. I didn't do teaching. I was still a teacher. When I finished my university, I was working my normal job. I was still teaching because I love teaching and I really understand what people need to learn. I understand what you need to learn.
So that comes back to my question, which is, I mean, you say it's going to be practical, so you're going to be doing like, you know, online, like, you know, like what you're doing right now. So you're going to be using the software you're using to, you know, to teach people on, you know, how to use the software. So what are you use? What do you have? Do you have the rational tools or the Mercury tools, which is now HP?
Okay. To answer that question, I would say, you know, normally if you're just, I mean,
there's a lot of things out there. You know, you have to know rational tools.
Yeah. I mean, the question that you have asked is a very, very perfect question that everybody asks me. And you know one thing I always say, people concentrate more on automation, those tools. Those tools are nothing.
I know. I'm not talking about automation, whether manual or automation right now.
Yeah.
But you know, whether you're doing manual or you're doing automation, you're still going to use a tool.
No.
Text director.
No. If you're doing manual, you don't use any tool.
You use a tool.
No, please. You don't use any tool.
What do you use to log in your defect?
That is
when you're doing manual.
Yeah, I mean, if you
people don't use spreadsheets to do that. They use tools.
Okay.
They use tools to log their defect.
Okay, if you ask me a question, please give me a chance so that I can answer the question. Okay. Your question is, everybody uses tools. So, are you talking about automation tools or just tools?
I'm just talking about the tools. I mean,
okay.
So I'm not talking about automation tools.
Okay. So, if you use Excel, you are also using a tool. A lot of companies, you won't believe it, that even up to today, a lot of companies still use Access.
I know.
To log. I mean, that is a tool.
Yeah, I know that's it.
But that is not. It's not an automation tool. So that is what I'm trying to explain. Those are tools. They are not automation tools. Automation tools. I mean, my class will provide you with Mercury tools, Test Director, Win Runner, Load. I mean, all those things. But I always tell my students, don't worry yourself about those tools. Those tools, I mean, the way I qualify them is this. If you want to go to university, if you want to go to secondary school, you must first of all go to primary school.
Yeah.
If you want to read and write, you must first of all learn how to read and write. Yeah. Automation is about reading and writing. Yeah. Automation is not about learning how to read and write. Manual is about learning how to read and write. I concentrate more on manual so that when it comes to automation, what you have learned in manual is just flows and you can automate. I mean, I taught my students, we spent just 1 hour on learning Test Director. And everybody understood it because they understood exactly what manual testing is all about. So that is, if you go to some classes will start with you with automation. They will run QTP, they will run all those rubbish. No, I spend a lot of time making sure that you can read, you can write. Okay. So once you're able to do that, believe you me, automation is nothing. It's just it's just like using a tool to do what you know how to do manually now in a faster way. So that is, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, it's not that, I mean,
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry.
go ahead, you can ask 10 questions, 20 questions. That's why we're here today.
Okay, so is this going to be like, is this class going to be like, are you going to have to like, how to write a query, using SQL and all those stuff?
We are going to learn all those things in this class, but we're going to learn those things on our own. I have a way of teaching people this, that you are going to learn all those things on your own. We are going to learn 4 development languages: HTML, XML, JavaScript, VBScript, and SQL. SQL basic and advanced. So we're going to learn all those things in this class. Anything that you will need in testing will be given to you. Anything that you need. When you go out there, everything that you need will be given to you. The things that you will need to get a job and the things that you will need to survive on a job. Going back to one of the questions that some of us asked, that am I going to offer support, or maybe it was you that I asked that question some times ago, that am I going to provide support once we finish the class and you're on the job? I'll tell you one secret. If you pass through my class, the only time you call me will be to say, Festus, how are you doing? The only time you will need to call me will be when you say, Festus, this is just what we are doing at work. Not to call me and say, or go into the toilet and hide and start calling me and saying, oh, Festus, they gave me this document, I don't know what to do with it. We will do everything in this class. Everything. Real life situations, business requirement documents that are of projects that are running now, currently. I will give it to you. You are going to work on everything. We are going to do everything as if we are working in that company and we are doing a project. And believe you me, if you go through all this, what will shake you? Nothing.
Yeah, Mr. Festus.
Yes, ma'am.
You said earlier on that in your class you're going to have a lot of assignments.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the assignment? Is it through the computer or what material are we going to use?
The assignment will normally be write this and write that. I mean, you can use Word document, you can use whatever, just send it to me, just like you send email. Yeah, I mean, that is those kind of assignments. I mean, when I give you assignments, then you just write the assignment and then you send it to me. I will go through the assignment and then I will give you some feedback. Yeah, and there's one thing that I always do also. In my class, I always hold group discussion. I divide the class into 2. I mean, if there are, for example, 6 people in the class, I divide them into 2 groups. And I send out questions every week for each group to meet and discuss those questions. Those are interview questions. I don't want to wait until the end of the class before we now start saying interview questions. I want to make sure that you are conversant with those questions, you are confident with those questions, you have the answers to those questions, and even if you're sleeping, somebody wakes you up, you'll be able to give answers to those questions. So we do this on and on until the end of the class. Although I don't start it almost immediately, I will wait for maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks when I'm sure that we have learned something tangible, and then I can start, we can start the group discussion. So this is also one. I mean, it takes time, but at the end of the day, we will really see what we have done with our time. Any other question before I go ahead? Okay. I want to quickly ask. Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Okay, 2 questions. So, what you're saying is that today I went to the store and I was trying to get quality assurance books, but I was looking for quality assurance for dummies, but I got quality control. So what's the difference? And also, are you saying that I'm excited about the class, usually because of your teaching ability, but are you saying that I don't need to go to do another degree or go for a community college or something like that, that this is just going to be sufficient for me?
Thank you, ma'am, for that question. Some people went to the community college here in Houston. They are still in my class. So, I mean, we are all from Nigeria. We see how we learned those things in Nigeria. People were learning automobile engineering. They were drawing automobile engineering on a sheet of paper. How can you know how to repair a car when it is only draw and label, and you have never seen that thing before? I mean, that is the kind of system that we're used to, reading and reading and reading, and not really practicalizing what we have read. And that is why sometimes we find out that somebody that just went to a technical college, for example, in US, is better than an engineer in Nigeria. Because that person has seen it all. He has seen all the instruments, has seen everything. And that is the approach that I'm using for this class. We're going to deal, you don't need any textbook. You don't need any textbook. And you don't need any textbook. You can read whatever online. You can, even reading online sometimes, because I see some things online that they are confusing. They are not right. And I always tell my students, because anybody can write anything online. And you can read it. I always tell my students, this is not correct, and that is not the way it is, because I know how it is, and I know what it is. So, I don't want to discourage us that don't read materials, or don't do this, or don't do that. But as the class goes on, you yourself will now adjust yourself and look, do I really need any material with all this? No, you don't. If any material is really, really necessary, I will send it out to you. Read this in addition to what I've given to you. Read this in addition to what I've given to you. Read this in addition to what I've given to you. And that will just be sufficient for the class. That will be sufficient for getting a job. And that will be sufficient for, staying on the job and really understanding what you are doing on the job.
Okay, finally, what's the difference between quality control and quality assurance?
Okay. Okay. Quality control is part of quality assurance. Quality assurance is like, when you are talking about education. Education starts from kindergarten and ends at maybe university. But when I say I want to go and study education at the university, that education is part of the whole education, isn't it? So that is how it is. Quality control is a measure, is one of those measures used to achieve a good quality assurance. Testing is also one of them. Testing is one of the measures to achieve a good quality assurance. Quality control is also one of the measures to achieve quality assurance. So we are going to talk about quality control, quality assurance, testing in the class. Do we still have any other question? Okay. So I was talking about please, if you have any question anytime, just talk, and then I will stop, and then you can ask your question. So I was talking about somebody went to the hospital and went through a machine that has a software, and I was trying to say that assuming that this machine is not functioning well, and this machine shows in the X-ray result that this guy has a stone in the head. Assuming that the X-ray machine is not functioning well, and the X-ray machine shows that this guy has a stone in the head, I'm 100% sure that this guy will go through an operation. Because the doctor will concentrate more on the X-ray result than on the head. The doctor will say, but the X-ray shows that there's a stone here on the right side of the head, and we have to remove that stone. Until they will open the head before they will see that there is no stone there. And then that person might lose his life. During that operation. And what will be the cost of this? The cost of this will be a software in a clinical instrument that is not functioning well. So this is when a software in an instrument is not functioning well. This is just one of the things that can come out of it. Another example is this, that can make somebody to lose life. Have you ever wondered that, I mean, when you are driving your car, who passes the lights? Who makes the light green, red, or yellow, or whatever? Who makes it? It's a software that is running somewhere in a location. Assuming that the software malfunctions and passes left and right at the same time, they will collide. Accident will happen and they might die from that accident. Most of the time we drive cars, once it is green, I just move on. I don't care, because I believe in the traffic light that it will not make a mistake. But it can happen that the traffic light can make a mistake and left and right can be passed at the same time and they will collide with each other. So these are just some of the things that can happen when an application is not functioning as it is supposed to function. And if you look at my screen here, I have some examples, I mean just some few examples out of the millions and millions of examples that are out there. The first one I have here is telephone outage in California in 1991 was caused by a software defect. There was something that happened to Bank of America some years ago, that Bank of America's application credited almost 1 million people, 800 and something people with $1 billion each, almost $1 billion. The application credited those 800 and something people with almost $1 billion each, just for nothing. And this was traced back to an error in the application. So, the next one that I have here is no charge for distance call. I will just quickly give an example of Nigeria in this one. There was a time, and I'm sure maybe some of us experienced it, that, my brother called me from Nigeria. Normally, when he calls me only just for 1 minute. Oh, my brother, call me back. This day he called me and he was talking on the phone, talking. And I said, what is the problem? What is happening? Where are you calling from? He said, I'm talking on my cell phone. I mean, you are going to incur so much bill. He said, brother, don't worry. Just let us keep on talking. What happened? He said, MTN is not charging for international calls. So, everybody started calling everybody and said, oh, if you have anybody all over the world, anywhere outside Nigeria, please start calling that person. And this went on for almost 4 weeks before MTN realized that they have lost trillions of money. And this was due to their software billing application that was not functioning and was not recording calls that were going outside the country. I mean, if you call within Nigeria, it charges you. But if you call any international 00, it doesn't charge you. So, I mean, from this we can see what can happen when an application is not functioning well. It can cause death. It can cause a company to close down. It can cause a company to, it can cause a lot of damage. So, likewise, these other ones here, there was also a company in US that for 4 weeks, it did not charge its 400,000 customers for any long distance call that they made. The application of the telecommunication company did not charge 400,000 customers. This is here in US. And this is the most advanced country in the world. And most of these examples that I have here are things that are happening in US. So if software are being tested properly every time, well, in US, and all these things are still happening, can you imagine what happens in maybe like third world countries? Where, it will not be tested as much as, people are really doing it here, for example. So, and then the next point says, exorbitant electric bills in Illinois. This also happened some years ago, that some people just got times 7 of their electric bills. If you get $100 every month, it just gave $700. And people started complaining, and they found out that it was the application that was just multiplying everybody's bill by 7. So, and then one of my students gave this mistake made by DHL due to software error. This example is from one of my students. He said he sent some package to Nigeria, and he paid through DHL, and he paid cash. And then after 3 months, he got a letter from DHL that he should pay $75. for the package that is sent to Nigeria. Then he said, but when I sent this package, I paid for it. And although I got a receipt, but it's 3 months ago. And I can't find the receipt again. Since the person from Nigeria called me that he got the package, I threw the receipt away. They said, but our record shows that you have not paid $75 and you have to pay. And my student had to pay again because there is no way you can prove that you have paid, because the application shows that you have not paid. And why is this? Because there is an error in the application that erased what my student paid. And what will be the effect of this for DHL? Definitely my student will never go to DHL again. Definitely anybody that he meets, he will tell them, please don't go to DHL. They are rogues. If you send anything through them, they want you to come and pay again, And likewise, one of my students also from Germany said one day he received a letter from DHL saying that he has to pay about 50 euro. And he said, I didn't even send anything. So how come that you are sending me a bill? And then he went to DHL and asked them, can you provide me with the details of the package that I sent? And they looked for the package, the details, and they didn't find it. And then they said, okay, that was a mistake from our application. So, we can see, when an application is not functioning well, what can happen? A lot of things can happen. And why do I always explain this to my students or to people when they come to career day? I like to explain this so that you know what you are dealing with. You know the importance of your job. You know the importance of your duty. And you know the importance of your profession. A doctor knows the importance of his or her profession. A doctor that has not eaten for one day, he sits down to eat, and there's an emergency that rings and says somebody is dying. He will leave his food, he will jump up and go and attend to the patient. Because he understands the importance of his job. So, but if you don't understand the importance of your job, if you don't know how grievous what can happen, you will do a wish-wash job. You will not do a good job. Because then you think, let me just leave it like that. Whatever happens. But if you know that if you don't do a good job, somebody might lose his life. If you don't do a good job, a company might lose even $1 million. They might lose even 20 million through your mistake or negligence. Then you always make sure that you always do a good job. You always make sure that you always do a good job. So what is your duty? Your duty will be to test applications. And what is an application, for example? I will just let me just make an example of Yahoo to show you what an application is. Okay, this is Yahoo web page, and this is called an application. This is a web-based application. Why do we call it a web-based application? I'm still going to mention this in the class. We call it a web-based application because you have to be on the internet. You have to open your internet browser before you can access this application. So that is why we call it a web-based application. A window-based application is like your Microsoft Word, your Microsoft Excel, your Microsoft Access, because you don't need to go on internet before you can use Microsoft Word. This is called a Windows-based application. A window-based application. But this one that you have on my screen now is called a web-based application. Okay. So what will be your duty? Your duty will be, for example, if you are testing a web-based application, to test this website, that is, this page, for example, that it is functioning as it is supposed to function. And how is it supposed to function? It is supposed to function in the way that if you click on something, that thing is supposed to open up. If you click on it and it doesn't open up, that means that link is not functioning.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Person?
Yes, ma'am.
Mentioned something before. You said web page, application. What's that? Because I don't see that on your screen.
Okay. I said what I have now on my screen is called a web-based application. But I mean, don't worry about this because we are going to talk about this in detail in the class. I'm just trying to give, just some few examples there. And I just want to show you, for example, what you will be doing. Just for example, And so I click on this link and then the link open up and it shows that link is functioning. So I'm going to go back now, go back to the web page of Yahoo. This is Yahoo web page. So you can see there are a lot of things you can do on this screen. You can click on this. You can click on any of this link. So this how to test this application is to make sure that all these links are functioning. I mean, it is more than that, but that is just the basic of it. To make sure that if you click on this picture, the picture opens up. If you go on mail, your mail opens up. To sign in for mail opens up. If it doesn't open up, then that means you can't really use this application. I mean, that link is not functioning. So, there's one thing that I always show my students, even if they come for the first time, there's always one thing that I always show them. And I always say, there's somebody that builds a house. There's somebody that makes sure that the house is okay to live in. You, as a software tester or QA analyst, your duty is to make sure that the house is conducive to live in. There is somebody that is called a builder that builds the house. And you are going to check everything that the builder has built to make sure that what he has built is what is right and conducive to living. So, where am I going? This, for example, is the application that you'll be testing. But somebody has to write this application. And the person who's going to write this application is called a developer. And how will a developer write this application? Is he going to be painting it, just putting the picture here like this? No. A developer will write codes. And once he writes code, the code will come out in this way. All these things that you're seeing on my screen will be coded. And it will come out in this way. And, I always like to show my students, for the first time when they come, the code behind every application. In Nigeria, we always say, behind every successful man, there's always a woman. So, we want to see the woman now behind this application. So, you go on View, you go on Source, and then you can see the code that the developer wrote for this page of Yahoo. So, I click on Allow, and then you can see the code. So, this is the code that the developer will write. What you are seeing now on my screen, I'm going to move it up and down. This is the code that the developer will write. And once the developer writes this code, it comes out in this way. They don't look like each other. I mean, they look very, very different from each other. But we remember something in Nigeria that they call metamorphosis. The changing in state of something to another state. I think I remember in my biology class that a maggot changes to fly, isn't it?
Yes.
If I'm correct. And a caterpillar changes to butterfly. So we might wonder, how can this code change to that picture? I mean, a caterpillar changes to butterfly. A caterpillar is not very ugly, just like a maggot, but changes to a very beautiful thing like a butterfly. So, exactly that. If you think that way, then you always believe that everything is possible. So, when the developer writes this code, then the code changes to this application. So, once, and then you can see the line of code that the developer has written, so long, so much, and this is just a page of the application. This is just a page of the application, and you can see, I'm not even up to the 1/4 of that page, and you can see how large and enormous these codes are. The lines of code. I'm sure it will run to thousands of lines. that a developer will write just for one code, just for one page of this kind of application like Yahoo application. So, but your own duty will be testing this beautiful application and not testing that code. Sometimes you can always test code. I'm going to teach us in this class how to test code. We're going to,
That's unit testing, right?
yes, sir. We are going to do some not really the deep unit testing. We are going to do the very, very important things. There was a project that I did on XML. XML is a programming language, and there was a testing that I did on only XML, and I'm going to show that that project in the class. We are going to run over it and see how I did it, and that is just practically also like unit testing, or we call it white box testing, because you are testing just the codes and not the application. Although later, you have to test the code and then test the application. Do we have any question at this point?
No.
Okay. So let me go back to. Okay, so I've talked about your duty. Your duty will be testing the application to make sure that the application is functioning as it is supposed to function. Make sure that the application is functioning as it's supposed to function. How is Yahoo Mail supposed to function? Yahoo Mail is supposed to function in such a way that when somebody puts in his valid username and valid password, it should open up. If, for example, I put my valid username, I put my valid password, for example, and it doesn't open up, that means something is wrong with Yahoo, for example. Okay, and I click sign in. If it doesn't open, that means something is happening, to that application. But I just somehow I put a wrong password so that it will not open.
So the requirements. If the requirements say alphanumeric, that means you have to use alphanumeric.
Yes, it depends on what the requirement says, that you should use. That would be when you are really testing.
Okay.
Yeah, that is when you are testing. If you are not really testing, you are just trying to see what, for example, any application that logs you in, as long as you have a valid, that is the keyword, valid username, valid password, the application must log you in. I'm not saying as long as you have a username and password. You can have a username and password and it's no more valid. But as long as you have a valid username, valid password, the application must log you in. Most of the time when I get to work, in my career, it has happened several times that the application would not log me in, although my username and password is valid. But it would not log me in. That means there is a problem with that application. And the IT people will have to come and set the username and password again, and then try to set everything again, and then I will be able to access the application. But assuming if I get to work in the morning, 9 o'clock, and I can't go into my computer, and the IT people are very busy, they can't come and set it until 12 o'clock, that means I will have to just sit down and drink coffee till 12 because I can't access my computer. So it is really, and so what I've just done here is just one of those things that you'll be doing when you are testing an application. It is a very simple thing. It is a very, very simple thing. The only thing is that in the class, we'll now go deeper and learn the methodologies of testing. The methodologies of testing that you will be well grounded in it. Well grounded in it. So, then, I have all these things here just to, I've talked about this, but I always have it just to give some more insight about, people that don't really have any knowledge about IT or whatever. So, what is a software? A software is an application that runs in a hardware. My computer that I'm knocking now that you can hear, this is my laptop, the plastic, the everything, that is what is called the hardware. But the software that is running in it, like Yahoo Mail, like your Microsoft Office, like Excel, Access, and all those kind of stuff, and all those other applications that you use, those ones are called your software. And most of the time, sometimes we also test hardware, but most of the time we test software. Most of the time, I would say maybe 99% of the time, we test software, not hardware. But sometimes, in my career too, I've tested hardware. So once you know how to test, methodology of testing is always the same. It's always the same. And so what is an application? Application is the same thing as a software. You can say something is a software or it's an application. It means the same thing. How do you view the code behind an application? I've just shown us that, how you view the code behind an application. For example, let me just open up something here and then go on view, go on source, then allow it, and then you see the code. This is the code behind this application. And that is how to view the code behind the application. So you go on view, you go on source, and then you get to the source code. So then, who is a developer or programmer? A developer or programmer is that person that writes the code. The code that I've just shown you now, a developer or programmer is the person that writes it. And who is a software tester? A software tester is just like me, is just like you. If you decide to join this career, that is a software tester. It's somebody or a professional that tests software. That is a software tester.